TJ Delgado, acolo este, va fi corner, dragi ascultători.
Torch was denied a bank loan. All right, ready to go?
Yep.
You may find an anaconda, a giraffe or kangaroo, but you'll never find a Nessie in the zoo. And that's still true today. Hi, welcome to It Ain't Broke. This is the Internet Living Room Review Show. My name is Richard Jackson, and I am joined today by Director of Hallows Eve and other things, Brad Watson.
Hey.
Back again.
Yeah. Well, currently working on the gritty reboot of Family Nest.
It's mad. It's off the chain. There's so much heroin in the Family Nest. In the Family Nest reboot. I said to you, it needs smack, and you did it. You listened to me, and I like that.
Yep.
So anyway, yes, this week we're going to talk about a film we've wanted to discuss for quite some time.
Yep.
Which is Leonard Nimoy's wonderful sequel, Star Trek IV.
The Voyage Home.
The Voyage Home.
Yes.
Where to start with this one?
Well, for me, I believe it's the only Star Trek movie to have the distinction of having a man in full leg cast and crutches falling over for maximum slapstick comic effect.
Yeah.
I don't think any of our Star Trek movies have that.
It's very much in that kind of, it's kind of very slapsticky. I think you and I have discussed it as being the nicest film ever made.
Oh, I wholeheartedly believe that it is possibly the nicest film ever made. I've yelled that from the mountaintops for years.
Yeah.
It literally is the nicest film ever made.
I think the worst thing that happens in it, apart from the kind of setup, like within it, the worst thing that happens in it is that a beloved crew member gets a head injury.
Yeah.
You know,
by accident.
By accident, misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Like it's so wholesome.
Yeah.
It's got this, I mean, it's kind of a broadly kind of ecological message.
Yep.
It's got a time travel plot, which kind of helps out with the budget side of things.
No, absolutely. But what I will say is it's got its message, it's got its ecological message, but it never gets political about it. It uses it just as a setup, and also the whole thing is so much damn fun. And the only time that they go serious and kind of hammer it home a little bit with the footage of the whalers and all that stuff in it, you've already had about 40 minutes of the most joyous, time with these guys that the goodwill is beyond belief. So you can cope with that a little bit, and then it goes back into the romp of the adventure.
Yeah, the adventure.
And there's a lot of sci-fi around at the moment. I think could learn a thing or two off of that.
Yeah, well, I think that's the thing. Just brass tacks for a minute, just because it's kind of necessary to do this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Directed by Leonard Nimoy, as I said, so we've got a cast member directing, and that had a knock-on effect down the road, which is why Star Trek V, which is better than everybody thinks, was directed by William Shatner, including you. Music by Leonard Roseman.
Yeah.
Now that's a bit of an anomaly, really, in the Star Trek series, because Alexander Courage, Horner, Goldsmith, Michael Giacchino for the newer ones.
Yep.
He's just there doing this, which is nice. It's fine. It's not. It's probably one of the lesser of the Star Trek scores.
It's not. I mean, it's definitely not. You're coming off the back of the Goldsmith and the Horner classics, and Star Trek 3, to be fair, is a bit of a copy and paste of Star Trek 2.
Yeah.
But it does have "Stealing the Enterprise," which is one of my favourite pieces of
which
score
we listened to on the drive over.
Which I played in the car.
So another original cast movie. Fourth film, if you don't know, it forms part of a trilogy. So there is a loose trilogy between Star Trek 2, 3 and 4, which is essentially from spoilers for fuck's sake, from Spock dying, getting Spock back, and then Spock's memory recovering.
Yeah.
And then that's a kind of backdrop to sort of saving.
Remember back in the day when it took whole movies to make something like that happen, as opposed to it just happening at the end of something.
I think the cheapness of Kirk's death in Star Trek Beyond is in the fact that they bring him back to. I mean, because of course he's going to come back to life, but they bring him back to life within the film.
Yeah, and the means of doing that has been telegraphed right. Anyway, we're not. Let's
we're not talking about that.
Let's not get into
We're not talking about that. We're talking about lovely Star Trek 4.
We're talking about wonderful Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home, which is. I mean, especially after you've had. I think Leonard Nimoy himself said, we've had 2 where you've had the death of Spock. You've had 3 where it's dealing with life, death, sacrifice, the death of Kirk's son. Heavy stuff. And they literally turned around and said, right, we want to do something nice. And I think the studio were a bit worried. They were like, Star Trek fans, they don't want to laugh.
Yeah, there was definitely back and forth with Nimoy in the studio, wasn't there?
They do not want to laugh, and Leonard Nimoy's going, you're wrong. The Star Trek fans are dying for a bit of fun now. And he was proved right, and it is probably the most popular Star Trek film across the board, breaking out of the initial fan base that there's ever been.
Because it's funny because I think it is. This is the one. I think this or Wrath of Khan. If someone wasn't into Star Trek, this is the one I'd probably show him.
Yeah.
This or Khan.
100%.
Maybe Khan to start with, because it lays a lot of this stuff up.
Yeah.
But maybe this, because despite, and I think this is a really amazing trick that they pulled off, despite being part of a trilogy and part of a then 20-year-old TV show that was revived and had all this fan shit, despite all of the baggage, you get up to speed in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The lay up to the film is there. It's like, oh, well, this guy's lost his memory, these guys were friends, this guy's the doctor, this is and they've got to go back in time and save some whales, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And I think you could I think one of the things people accuse it of, I think people sneer at it for being kind of too funny and too jokey. However, none of the jokes are particularly surreal or rule breaking. It's a bit slapsticky, but it's not.
But it's all within character. It's all character based. The humour is the fish, the fish out of water. I mean, because they're gonna be, they're gonna be fish out of water. And some people go, well, you're laughing at them. It's like, no, you're not laughing at them. You're laughing at their bemusement of the modern,
you're laughing at them laughing at us. Yeah. Because they, it's a nice way of showing, the messages that contemporary humanity is barbaric, and that's Star Trek contemporary being our time. That's always been Star Trek's message, is like, we've resolved everything, sorted it out now, and contemporary humanity sucks. And this throws that into shade because everyone's rude to them and stuff. So I know the nuclear vessels stuff, a lot of that, those are real people. Like, that's unscripted. That's literally Walter Koenig just stopping people
in the middle of Cold War 1980s San Francisco. A Russian wandering around asking where the nuclear vessels are. I don't think people can realise now just how freaking funny that was.
Yeah.
I remember in the cinema, but everyone, was belly laughing at that. And it kept cutting back to the cop's just stoic look. He's just staring at Chekhov, wondering, hello, I wonder if you could tell me where the nuclear vessels are. Hello.
Hello, excuse me, hello. It's not, well, that's the thing, because it's very dry, it's quite kind of genteel, but it is really funny and it's really warm.
Yes.
And it's about, what these movies did, I think, Star Trek 1 to 6, is it took them a while to get there, but they gave everybody something to do and some way to shine. And I definitely feel like Leonard Nimoy was really keen to be egalitarian about how everybody does something. So they split off into teams and go off and do their little missions and things like that.
They've all got something to do, they all shine in their own little adventures in modern day. And all the modern day stuff was written by Nicholas Meyer. And the bookending future stuff was written by Harvey Bennett. So the Meyer wit is all over that stuff. Yeah, it really is. Although I think
it's super dry. It
really absolutely is. Well, I think Harvey Bennett did have a massively great line at the end of the film where bureaucratic mentality is the only constant in the universe.
Right. Yeah.
but mainly it's the Nicholas Meyer stuff is. It's just so sharp and so funny, and also, as you say, you've got this family atmosphere now. I mean, the characters feel like family to you at this point, and so that's why it's so lovely to watch them being a bit bumbling and having fun, and also you've just been through life and death with Spock. So now he's back, and we're all happy about it. Everyone's like, yes, Spock's back, lovely. But he's gone through a trauma, and he's trying to figure stuff out. And his deadly logical brain that's been retrained in the Vulcan way, so the logic is there.
He's kind of had the reset button.
Yeah,
switched.
He's had the reset button, but he knows that he should be that there's the human side of him should be part of his makeup, and he's trying to do that, and observing how when William Shatner's back in Double Dumbass on You.
Double Dumbass on You.
Yeah, the use of colourful metaphors.
Colourful metaphors. He took too much LDS in the 60s. It's full of quotable lines. I love that it's so full of quotable lines as well. It's kind of like a computer. Computer.
Are you sure you won't change your mind? There's something wrong with the one I have.
I love it. And Leonard Nimoy,
it's so straight.
He's in his nappy swimming through the thing. I mean, it gets it on so many levels. I do appreciate why people don't like it. I think it's similar to people that, it's a totally valid opinion, but a lot of people don't like the way Marvel do superhero films because they're very kind of jokey and a bit kind of on the warmer side. And some people prefer the kind of darker stuff. But within a series, fourth film in, you've already done a bunch of dark, heavy stuff, exactly like you said. And it's exactly what Nimoy wanted.
Yeah.
And then it goes off into this kind of light thing that doesn't break the universe. The only thing I would say, this is from a kind of slightly fanish internal logic way. In the setup, it's like, if we don't have whales, everyone's going to die. And then they just kind of go like, time travel? Time travel? Time travel? Yeah. 80s. All right, off we get. And it's just like, whoa, hold on a minute. Like, what the fuck? You could have solved all this stuff. You know, Star Trek's had plenty of time, like City on Edge of Forever and stuff like that. It's all the time travel in it. Like, time travel. It's nothing new, but it's...
but it kind of makes you... The way that that becomes the option. I mean, I don't know. They go through the options.
They do.
I mean,
they do.
It does. They go through the options, and they know that they've got no time. So, and then suddenly, and it's Spock that comes up with the idea.
Yeah.
We can attempt to find some humpback whales, and you go, and McCoy is like, well, you said there aren't any except on Earth for the past. But wait a goddamn minute, as he clicks with him what Spock's saying, you know. Yeah. So you got that little way of them trying to come up with a solution, but they haven't got time because the Earth is being destroyed.
I'm playing devil's advocate a bit there, just to put that out there, just because I don't want to say, because we've talked about talking about this for fucking ages, and the discussion is generally like it's brilliant and amazing and we love it. Yeah. And there's got to be some, and I think the setup, and I think to some taste it's probably too light and frothy. Mm-hmm. Personally, I think it just came at exactly the right time to have that kind of tone.
Yep.
And in terms from a technical standpoint, in terms of its photography and stuff like that, it's not remarkable, and most of it's contemporary. No. But the story, it feels like the script and the cast. This feels like a film for the actors, and it's very much at the forefront of what's going on.
It's and I think that's what works about it. The characters are front and center in this film. I mean, it is about the characters, and there's so much. I mean, the plot really is kind of thin. It's kind of, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean it's a situation is there, and most time is spent on just character interplay and conversations between the characters and the fun of those sort of situations, and it's wonderful,
Well, it is. I'm a very big advocate of, done right, when you have a film that's about nothing and when nothing happens. I'm a big advocate of if you do that properly. Yeah. Now, Star Trek 4 has a very clear narrative drive. They have to get the whales, and they have to get the whales back, and there's a ticking clock at the end, and that's that. Yeah. But then it has that essentially is required to fill 2 hours, so it's loads of kind of little B plots and things like that. So to a degree, it's in the style of, because one of my favourite films that's essentially about nothing in terms of its plot is Napoleon Dynamite. Okay. Yeah. Napoleon Dynamite has the kind of through line, but it's these kind of little vignettes about these weird people in this weird town. Yeah. This is kind of similar. It's a bit of a strange way to, things to compare, but it's basically loads of kind of little, kind of sitcomish vignettes about how each of the characters cope in that world and how they interact with it and how they meet people. And it all serves a broader plot. And like I say, it's not Napoleon Dynamite because it's a ticking clock and all this stuff powering towards the end. So it does do that. But on a level, it's kind of frothy and nothingy, but in a good way. Yeah. And like I say, it's a quite involved character piece, and it's there to sort of, because from the superior, cashless, peaceful 24th century, when you put them in 1987 San Francisco, they are kind of sappy Boy Scout dipshits. Yeah. And it's how they interact with that world, and they come again, like the punk. Yeah. The famous punk guy scene with that awesome song.
Kirk Thatcher, who was the liaison to Industrial Light and Magic. He's one of the producers on the film. Yeah, who's got the legendary performance of the punk rocker on the bus.
Gets his nerve pinched.
Who sings the song as well. I hate you.
I hate you, I berate you.
And I hope you're blue too. We're all bloody worthless, we're better off dead. Those are the lyrics.
That's such an excellent pastiche punk song.
It's just pure punk. It's just and it was his idea to turn it off, the ghetto blaster off with his face.
It's just so
oh man, it's so funny. And that was the clip that was, I remember, when the film was coming out, that was the clip that they constantly showed, because that was showing everyone, guys, this is going to be fun. Come and watch this movie.
Tone.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And you've got all of that, so Star Trek was obviously always considered hard sci-fi, proper sci-fi. But you do literally, before Austin Powers did it, have the "don't worry about that kind of stuff" moment, literally to you.
And that goes for you all too.
And that goes for you all too. When McCoy brings Scotty to the side and the audience to the side, where it's go, you do realise we're changing the future, and he's like, why? How do we know he didn't invent it? And I'm like, oh, okay. And then,
how do you know we didn't invent the thing?
Yeah, it was literally just that little moment to say, don't worry about all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they did it in such a nice little way.
Yeah.
That felt right and appropriate, but was almost fourth wall breaking.
And it's no madder than anything else in Star Trek.
No,
that's the thing.
No.
Compared to other shit that goes on in Star Trek, and Spock does that again, kind of unintentionally in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek. It goes back in time. But,
yeah, no, absolutely.
And it's nothing madder. Like if people wanted to, the baseline of bad things in original recipe Star Trek is always Spock's brain. And Spock's brain is brilliant for the wrong reasons. But if you're ever looking at Star Trek going, that's stupid, it's like, mate, Spock's brain. You just go and
you want to see where they went.
Where
they used to go. This honestly is quite sensible. But I guess you're gonna, you can have that, I guess, conflict between the people that want their Star Trek to be just hard sci-fi always, and then those of us who love the characters so much that we just want a bit of fun, and we're happy to have a bit of fun as long as it doesn't do anything ridiculously stupid, which it doesn't. Even though you have slapstick moments, even though you've got guy in crutches being knocked out of the way by, sorry, I'm going to keep laughing now. I'm thinking of bits of it. How's the patient, doctor? He's going to make it. You came here with a she. One little mistake. The way Shatner says that is amazing.
Well, this is an excellent showcase for Grumpy DeForest Kelly as well.
Oh yes.
Dialysis? What is this? The Dark Ages?
That sounds like a goddamn Spanish Inquisition.
It's a goddamn Spanish Inquisition. That's what I mean. Because I think this is part of what makes it accessible, and some people might criticise it on this level because they may, again, devil's advocate, because it's something I love, but some may say that it oversimplifies the characters and makes them kind of caricatures.
Yeah.
But I think to make it an accessible kind of film, it brings in that situation where Spock's had the reset button hit. You don't really need to reintroduce Kirk. He's Kirk, and this is viewed through the lens of his friendship with Spock.
Yep.
Bones is a doctor all the time, like Scotty does engineering shit, transparent aluminum. And so Sulu, Uhura, and Chekhov essentially just get to wander about. They don't, because Uhura's not really got. They talk about her linguistic stuff when they're trying to translate the probe. Sulu's helmsman. So, no, that's not true because Sulu flies the helicopter.
Sulu gets the helicopter in. I mean, and because Chekhov has the.
Well, he's the whole. I'm not sure how it relates to his character, but he's the whole, because he's kind of the kid, because he was always the child of the group. He gets injured, and our only drama is, oh no, and purely because of a misunderstanding, he smashed his brain in. And we need 24th century medicine to fix him.
I mean, come on, we're talking about a Star Trek movie that has the line in it, okay, make nice, give me the ray gun.
The ray gun, yeah.
Okay, and the guy goes, what do you think? He goes, well, he's a rusty. That's the most stupidest goddamn thing I've heard in my life. Of course he's a rusty, but he's some kind of retard or something.
Some kind of retard. Oh my God! Yeah, it's absolutely great. It really is on that level. Well, in terms of
nice, give me the ray gun. Come on.
Just to emphasise this a bit again, the filmmaking is kind of unremarkable, but that's not the point.
No, it's very simply shot. But which I think is deliberate. It's a counter because you just had three, which I think is visually stunning.
That's amazing stuff.
Three is even more than the motion picture. I think
Enterprise destruction sequence is amazing.
And the stealing the Enterprise sequence, which is one of my favourite things ever. And the imagery of that, and the models, the way they're shot and the way they move. And my favourite shot in all of Star Trek is when you cut to outside the space dock and the Enterprise comes flying around, and
there,
like that, banking around, and the Excelsior's coming in the background. You know,
doesn't it have that comedy set when they try to go to warp? It goes like kind of.
Yeah. But you've had all this visually stunning stuff and all this stuff on the planet, and you know, and Nimoy was quite creative with his camera choices in 3, and he was pushing it. You know, there's lots of nice sort of kind of wide angle close-ups.
And there's very cool stuff with the cloaked Klingon ship.
Yep.
Like when the grass sinks to show that the thing's gone in.
Well, yeah. Well, this is it. No, there's all that stuff. Yeah, I think. Did you see that? No, and neither did you. So shut up.
The two bin men.
The two bin men.
And that's another great
like
time travel hand wave as well. Because what everyone would say if you didn't do that is like, well, someone would have seen that, and the film goes, they did.
Yeah,
they just don't want anything to do
but they want nothing to do.
And it's
with
something that no one. I like that because no one ever does that
Yeah.
in films. No one just goes because I got certain stuff that if I saw, I would just be like, no, fuck that. My life's complicated enough already.
Yep.
I'm not getting involved with the green bird that landed in the park. Fuck that.
I don't need that. It's and everyone remember where we parked. And so we're just going to quote lines now because it's wonderful. But I cracked you up in the car when we were remembering stuff, and one of my favourites is when Scotty does his act of they don't know anything about it. He goes, don't know anything about it. Am I to understand? I travelled millions of miles, thousands of miles. It's so good.
Millions of
miles, thousands.
He's from the he's from the University of Edinburgh or something.
That's from the University of Edinburgh. And you got things like I'm from you don't tell me you're from outer space. Because no, I'm from Iowa. I only work in outer space. So of course I thought outer space was going to come into this eventually.
That's it. It's got this lovely warm tone. I think anyone can watch it. And now, this has been discussed. I don't want to talk about this too much because it's probably for another video. But I am a defender of Star Trek V.
I know you are.
The stink on that. I know. Right.
No. I've told you the things that I like about 5.
Of course. I would, in my defence of 5, part of it is like a number of things relating to Star Trek. 5 is the way it is because of William Shatner's ego, and you can't have Nimoy direct one without him directing one. No,
no.
And I'm not.
But to be fair, there were a lot of other issues with 5 that weren't anything to do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, of course. And hey, look, I think it's a good movie, so I think it's a good film personally, and I'm very much.
They got screwed on the visual effects, that's for sure. I think William Shatner's. I think he when I've read his books, he's when he first saw the effects shots coming in, his heart sank. Because they've had all these amazing visual effects for all these movies, and then he gets this. What's going on?
I think in the middle of the 6 original Star Trek films, Star Trek 4 is this great palate cleanser. Yeah. That then takes you back onto Star Trek 5 and 6. Yeah. And I would argue that now Star Trek 5, okay, the script is not as good as Star Trek 4. I'm not mental. It is what it is. But watching that film, I think all of the crew get to be the crew and they get to shine. The performances are lovely, and it is kind of a little bit. So, like when Scotty hits his head on the bulkhead, that's a bit dumb, isn't it? It's a bit.
You could tell because of the success of 4 that they pushed the humour more, and and that's where it became a bit inappropriate. Yeah. In some of that, like in Scotty hitting his head and all that stuff, and to be fair, the scene where Spock and McCoy are shown their pain. That whole sequence with the 4 of them
important character scene
is really, really freaking good.
And what you learn about McCoy's background in that is really important. Yeah. Anyway, my point was to bring that to digress was that I think 4 and 5 work as a very interesting counterpoint because I've argued time and time again the camera work and the cinematography, the lighting and the camera movement in Star Trek 5 is lovely. There's loads of great... and Star Trek 4 doesn't have that. No. It doesn't need to. No. But it's very plain in its filmmaking. And I think what people kind of refuse to appreciate about Star Trek 5 is how nicely made it is. I mean, it's really nicely made.
Oh, no, I agree with that 100%. And yeah, the setups of the camera moves are tremendous. It's got one of my favourite ones ever in it. This starship it'll be your chariot and track all the way down to William Shatner. He goes, excuse me, wonderful, brilliant, and that kind of stuff is that's the stuff I love about 5 and keeps me, that and Jerry Goldsmith's music keeps me going through a lot of the pants, but
It's a fight. I'll fight that fight until the day I die.
Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, whereas 4 is very simply shot, very simply mounted.
Because it doesn't need to be, and because it's present day, because they must have saved a fuck ton of money doing like. I always feel that it's probably one of the most location-heavy Star Trek things ever. There are episodes of Voyager and DS9 that do Let's Go Back to the Past. To play the shitty games that suck ass. But, you know, and of course original Star Trek is Sitting Legend Forever, but that's very clearly, there's loads of set-bound stuff in those. And this is one of the, and as a singular thing, one of the most kind of location-based. Because it's fucking Star Trek. Most of it takes place in fictional spaceships and on the planet Zarg or whatever. Well, Zarg 6 or whatever. Whereas this is street level.
This is City Alpha 5.
I went to San Francisco about 2012.
Right.
And the things that one of the reasons I wanted to go to San Francisco, Dirty Harry, Bullet, Star Trek 4, Escape from Alcatraz, and like particularly Star Trek 4. So I was walking around just like nuclear vessels. But it's also because of that, and you know, it's kind of unremarkable broadly speaking, because lots of films, you can say this about any number of films, but it's a very good evocation of a place in time, you know, like a certain time and space, and because you've got Walter Koenig harassing real San Franciscans going about their business, it has that kind of vaguely documentary feel. Yeah. Because all those street shots of like busy intersections and stuff, is double dumbass on you, like the whole car I'm walking here moment and stuff. Yeah. It's a real moment in time. Yeah. You know, and you've got, it must have been fucking odd. They must have been stopped so many times. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's the entire original crew of Star Trek just walking across the road towards me, like what the fuck?
Like, what's going on?
And Star Trek fans, you know, they don't, you know, they're not a reserved bunch, man. They love their.
They've been known to say hello. Yeah. They've been known to make their presence felt.
We are very much in their number.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
You know, I've never harassed a member of the Star Trek crew, not from want to try and. No. If I saw one, I would.
Nope.
I'm coming for you, Michael Dorn or whoever. I'm on it.
Because for me, it was Star Trek 2 that got me into Star Trek. It was Rafael Hengelbrock that totally, blew my mind. I'd seen the original series and that, but I was a bit too young to appreciate how, because it looked a bit pants, in terms of the effects and all that stuff. To me, when I was into Star Wars, it's like, that's all a bit creaky. But then I saw Rafael Hengelbrock and I was like, oh, hang on, okay, cool. And then I went back, started watching the series and was a little bit older and realised how good the writing was and how amazing that trio of characters was through the whole thing. And then 3 came along, which I think is very underrated. Everyone regards, because of the whole odd number curse thing. People think 3 is rubbish, and it's not at all. It's a little underwhelming compared to what's either side of it.
It's unfortunate. It's kind of a filling in a shit sandwich to some people, but to me,
but I still think it's got some great stuff. But I do remember. But then I was quite excited about seeing 4, and I remember my dad came to see it, and my dad thought it was hilarious. My dad, not a Star Trek fan anyway whatsoever, and I remember him just laughing his ass off through the whole thing. It was just one of them. There was just such a warm feeling that film generated in everyone, and everyone was just so happy coming out of it. How can you go wrong with that?
I think I would have seen this on a Sunday afternoon on TV as a kid.
Right.
That would have been my window into it, and it's kind of like, oh, this is fun, because I used to always, what the original Star Trek movies would be on, like, they would be on television. On one afternoon. That because I didn't see. I saw. Oh no, I never saw any Star Trek. Even the Next Generation ones, I didn't see in the cinema.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, because I was kind of too young to sort of get Star Trek when the movie, what I call the proper movies, the first 6 were going off, and then when I remember Generations kind of looking a bit creaky, I waited for it on TV, and I was like, no. First Contact, I saw when it came out. The others I didn't even bother. I only saw Nemesis for the first time a few years ago, which I'm kind of glad of. And I just don't think any of those 4 films touch on the first 6.
Oh no, nowhere near.
First Contact's probably the best one, but the Next Generation films felt like they could have been so much better, because they just kept trying to do Wrath of Khan. They never had because the fucking First Contact, time travel again. And that's kind of got jokes in it. But it's no Star Trek 4.
It's not. It never really did. And also, I think I felt that the Next Generation movies didn't feel like there was something a bit off about them. They didn't feel like the Next Generation series.
It's been discussed.
Characters felt a bit different.
Yeah. Well,
and I know that the Picard. I mean, I always felt that Picard was a totally different character in those movies, but that's been, reiterated by other people. On the internet
RLM have got you covered on that one.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I was like, yes, I agree with that. I've always felt that.
I'm rewatching TNG at the moment, actually, because of Netflix. Bit of a tangent. We'll wrap up shortly. I've been rewatching TNG, and this has been said elsewhere. And people like to frame movie Picard as kind of, the damaged, kind of traumatized Picard. But what happened to him happened halfway through TNG. Yeah. And he's so kind of he's a philosophical, art-loving archaeologist, science officer, diplomat.
Yeah.
And then in First Contact, like screaming maniac action hero driving around in dune buggies and Nemesis and stuff.
And wearing Bruce Willis Die Hard vests.
Yes. Now, Captain Kirk, apart from ignominiously dying, the original crew never had to have that derailing indignity, and they went out on a high on Star Trek 6.
Yeah.
Which was all kind of, the serialized spirit of Star Trek continued through these 6 films. Yeah. For better or for worse, and those characters grew across those 6 films. Yeah. Whereas it's like the TNG movies feel like one big kind of shrug to me. Borg. Though it has made me sort of want to watch First Contact tonight. So. Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're good. They're all right. I don't hate them, apart from probably Nemesis. I'm not sure, but
Nemesis is basically awful, but I don't hate it.
No, exactly. But But the magic of those, particularly that for me, the 2, 3, 4 trilogy, which to me is that's the apex. That's the apex of Star Trek for me, and that and they're cinematic. They're great. They're good. Yarns, well told, and then they finish off on this wonderfully warm, happy movie that just sends you off feeling good. And it's like
there's no kind of lingering questions, and it ties up that trilogy very nicely.
Yeah, ties it up. They get the Enterprise back at the end. Yeah, everyone's happy.
Well, that's good. I think the problem is that Star Trek 5 then had to start afresh. And Star Trek 6, they kind of. Because I think the wall coming down in space was Nimoy's idea, and then they spun it out from that. Yes. So that's a kind of Cold War allegory, and they got fucking Michael Dorn in it and stuff.
And I like 6 a lot.
It's a fucking great movie. Yeah. As well you should. Yes. Christopher Plummer and everything.
Exactly. You got Christopher Plummer with an eye patch spot welded to his head. What more do you want?
Fucking Klingon.
Spouting Shakespeare.
Fucking love Klingons.
What more do you want?
Fucking love Klingons. Best in the original Klingon. Yep. Well, I think that's it. We've rambled on a tangent for a bit. If you're still here, well done. Are you going to say something, Brad?
No.
Oh, I thought you were just like, can I just...
No, not at all. No, that's just...
We don't cut anything out here, you see. I love these little awkward fumbles. Like, fuck it. You can hear cars going past and shit.
I'm just going to get up and walk off, just knocking things over.
Fuck it. Yeah. Brief appeal, based on something that I talked to you about in the car. Oh, yeah. In Star Trek 3... Sulu, Star Trek 6, when Sulu's captured the Excelsior, he has that bitch in...
the T-set,
Excelsior T-set, right? And I spoke to Alberto about this on Twitter the other day. I can't find it anywhere. Does anyone know where to get it?
Anyone knows where?
I want a fucking Excelsior T-set, because me and Brad would be sat. I've got my communicator.
Yeah,
today.
we'd
be sat here taking tea like fucking Sulu, like a boss, having my little fucking. Anyway, that is a tangent. But thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be back again soon with other stuff. Do remember that we have Discord and Twitch and all that going off at the minute. And all being well, this episode will come out on Saturday, the 2nd of March. And I will be doing Twitch stream in the evening. So you patrons will catch that. The rest of you may see it live. Otherwise, it's coming out on Monday, the 5th of March. So enjoy that.
March already, 2019.
I know, mate. March has been 2019 has been bollocks so far. So. Anyway,
for you.
Yeah, exactly. I've been sitting around watching Star Trek, which, to be fair, is what I do anyway.
Yeah. You just got an excuse to now.
Just less fucking trampolining, innit? Right. Anyway, that's it. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye. Support your 7th or 8th favourite YouTube channel by buying crap, tat, junk, hogwash and filth at redbubble.com/people/Val Verde Shop.